Believe it or not, after 10 years of selling on Amazon and almost 15 years of being involved in entrepreneurial ventures, I struggle with something that every single business owner I have come across also struggles with from time to time. And really, I've noticed that this one thing can make or break somebody's business. And that really comes down to how your business is viewed. And so I want to make sure to discuss what this one thing is today and how you can start to overcome that, because it will truly end up changing the results of your business. I have seen it in my own life. I still struggle with this today in how I view my business and in the activities I take whenever this one thing kind of starts to latch onto me. And I've seen it in the people that I work with, the people that I teach, and it's something that's so pervasive that I don't think really gets discussed enough. And really it comes down to mental hurdles and mindset. Now, before we get into that, my name is Jimmy Smith, and I've built and scaled multiple 6 and 7 figure businesses online. And I love teaching other people how to do the same. And so in this video, this is why it's so important, is because I've gone through doing this and I still have this issue on a day-to-day basis. What is that issue? I'm going to make a couple little stick figures that we're going to use. So if you are this person, you're right here, okay? And let's actually make you sad or neutral, whatever you want to look like. This is where you're at currently. And you want to get somewhere over here where you are happy. You're happy. Apparently you're a little bit taller over here. And ultimately, this is where you're trying to go to. Now, as where you are currently and where you're trying to go to, what is that one thing that you are probably looking at that gets you here? Well, for most people that are entrepreneurs, that one thing that gets you from sadness or being at a kind of a standstill to being happy and that future goal that you're wanting, that one thing is actually going to be your business. Okay. So as you start a business and you put this right here, that one thing that gets you from sad or your current location to where you want to be, that one thing is your business. And whenever we are looking at our businesses in this way, we can become emotionally attached to every single thing that happens in our business, right? If we view the business as the opportunity to get us to the future desired state that we want to be in, then we are going to be emotionally attached to the ups and downs of our businesses. And that is a problem, because if you're looking at it that way, as your business is succeeding, then you are happy. As your business is going up, then you are seeing success, you are seeing forward progress, and you are getting excited about it. And that's great. But the real struggle comes whenever you start to get down on your business, because then you start to look at the business as something that's never going to get you to this future desired state. And so what can we do about this? Because if we're looking at our businesses in a way that ultimately affects our day-to-day lives, and we look at our businesses as something that's going to get us to our future desired state, but we're never going to end up getting there if we're allowing our businesses to kind of bring us down on the day-to-day basis whenever we have struggles in it. Well, that's a big problem. And I know that I struggle with that, because on days whenever my business isn't going as well as I would hope, or there's fires I need to put out, then I start to look at my business as the problem. I start to look at my business as the thing that's actually keeping me from that future desired state of happiness or joy or whatever it might be. Now, the real key really comes down to being content and happy and filled with joy in your day-to-day life. And that's easier said than done, right? Especially as a Christian, we are called to be filled with joy for the day, to not be worried about tomorrow, because tomorrow has enough to be worried about in and of itself. But that's easier said than done, is being joy-filled on a day-to-day basis. The reality is here, we have to kind of take a step back and look at, what do our businesses mean to us? What does the business actually provide for us? Ultimately, we want our businesses to succeed. We care about our businesses, and our businesses do help us get to some sort of future state monetarily or time-wise, if you can spend more time with your family, whatever it might be. But we need to look at it and kind of tend to that business in the proper way. We want a better future for our families, for ourselves, for our finances, for our future children, grandchildren, etc. And if our businesses can get us there, then that is awesome. But if you allow the business to take over your life, to take over the mental struggles that you're going through, and you start to place those business woes into your life, then you're going to be more affected by your business. And so what do we need to do to get out of this? Well, there's a couple things that I recommend. And so if you're an Amazon seller, for instance, and you're a new seller, right? Well, as new sellers, you're going to be much more emotionally sensitive to how well you are sourcing and purchasing products. right? If you are struggling with sourcing and purchasing, then you're going to start to view the business and these activities of sourcing and purchasing as the thing holding you back from getting to that future desired happy state. If that's the thing holding you back, then you're going to be ultimately sad about the business. You're not going to want to do it because you're struggling with this. So we actually need to remove ourselves a little bit from the emotional aspects of these day-to-day activities. And again, as I've said a few times, this is easier said than done. But my recommendation, if you're a new seller that's struggling with sourcing and purchasing, or struggling with some aspect of your business because it's just more difficult than you expected, then take a step back and really take a look at it and try to look at it from a long-term view. You may be struggling now with sourcing and purchasing, but as you end up continuing to commit to the business, as you end up continuing to push forward in the business, then you're going to see more success as a result of that. If you are struggling with it, then you're learning along the way and you're going to get better each and every day with that particular activity. Now, if you're an existing or a long-standing seller, right, you may be somebody that has no problems with sourcing and purchasing. And so that's something that you enjoy. But the struggle may actually be outsourcing, right? You may be struggling with that outsourcing aspect and building systems and all these other things that come with growing and scaling your business. Now, I know this is a little bit much, right? If you're an existing seller that's trying to succeed and you're struggling with outsourcing and building systems, then you're going to start to view that aspect as the thing that's holding you back from the happiness or the future state that you're hoping to get to. Ultimately, we may be more emotionally sensitive to these things. And so the more emotionally sensitive that you are about your business, really the more likely you are to make irrational decisions. So if we take a step back again and take a look at this new seller that's struggling with sourcing and purchasing, and they're brand new. If you're going through this and you're allowing the struggle there to impact your decisions, you may decide to give up on an Amazon business or an e-commerce business that you could actually have huge successes in if you were to push through on that. Or as an existing seller, if you allow this to kind of get you down and you can't find a good team member, or you don't really want to outsource the business, then you may find yourself in a position where you allow that to hold you back from growing and scaling because you just don't like that process and you aren't focused on the day-to-day. You're focused on the long term of what if this goes wrong or what if something doesn't go well, when we need to be focused on what can go right. And so what we can do as sellers is we can build two types of businesses. First is the successful business. That's typically built with intention. That's built with making good, rational decisions and not allowing our emotions around the business to impact our decisions. The other option is we can build a failing business, which is typically going to be built around irrational decisions, built around struggling and emotional-based decisions that ultimately lead to you not doing the best thing that is for your business. And so the only difference between a successful seller and a failed seller many times comes down to how we handle the emotions and the mental hurdles in our business. Now, there are days I go through this regularly. Again, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years on Amazon, and for 15 years, I've done entrepreneurial activities really since I was a kid. So I could probably go back 30 years at this point. But for me, I see this on a weekly basis. I get up and maybe I'm in a worse mood or something happens in my business and I allow that to drag down my day. I allow it to drag down my day-to-day activities and tasks that I'm doing. And so I'm not pushing forward in my business as I should be. But on those days I wake up and maybe there's a quick win or something goes really well in my business, then I notice that I'm doing more. I'm more excited about it. I'm more able to spend time in my business pushing and growing and just being motivated to scale that business further. And so this is a huge problem because if we allow our emotions to dictate our day-to-day activities in a negative way or even in a positive way, then that leads to a roller coaster of a business. And that's not anything that will lead to a long-term successful opportunity. What can we do about this? What I recommend is that you take a step back from it and you really take a look at any decisions that you have to make. If you're making purchasing decisions, if you're making decisions about potentially shutting down your business or potentially adding a new revenue stream into your business, what is it that's causing that decision? Is it fear-based or is it excitement and opportunity-based? Is it something where you are going to then be judging how your business is going based off of the results that you get? Or are you going to judge your success based off the activity that you're doing? Because if you're not putting in the right activities, you're never going to get to the results anyway. So ultimately, this comes down to a question of being able to step back, the decision to take a step back and really look at your business on a logical level. And so this is what I recommend doing, because if you can't do this, then you're always going to be on that roller coaster of riding that business to whatever highs and lows that it's going to bring you to, and it's going to impact your day-to-day life. And so here are 3 steps that I recommend to overcome this. Ultimately, it comes down to pausing and processing. If there's something going on in your business, if you notice that you're upset about it or you're excited about it, then ultimately take a step back, process it, see what's driving that motivation, and see what the actual emotion is behind that that's impacting you. The second thing is to use evidence, right? If you're struggling with sourcing today, but you've been great for the last month, then look at the last month. Look at the one day even that you had success with it and use that as evidence of future success. That if you continue to put in the right activities, you should see future success. Also, if you're someone trying to scale your business, maybe you're doing $40,000 or $50,000 per month and you're trying to get to $100,000 per month. Well, take a look at your past successes, knowing that if you put in the amount of work that you put in up to this point, put that in moving forward, you're probably going to see results as well. And then lastly, practice some emotional resilience. For me as a Christian, that means taking time with God. That means taking time in the Word, with fellowship, with other people, friends and family, in prayer, and practicing that resilience of putting my trust in God. But ultimately, we need to be able to take a step back. As I keep saying, I know somebody's going to put the comments, take a step back and actually practice some emotional resilience to look at things more logically and look at it on a day-to-day basis. Don't future cast or don't think about the worst case futures that you could possibly have. So what I recommend at the end of this video, just kind of take a second and look at the 5 recent decisions that you've made. And whenever you're doing this, see if the decisions were based on emotion and what were those emotions driven by? Did you move forward into a new opportunity because you were excited about it? And why were you excited about it? Was it to avoid the fear that you were experiencing in something else? Or was it just because it's a truly good opportunity? Or if you decided not to do something, was it fear-based or was it based on any type of an emotion? Or did you make that decision because of data, because of past evidence, and because of logic? If you start doing this and you get into that habit of a day-to-day basis, whenever you're making a decision and you start to feel that there's an emotion behind it, pause, reflect, and see what is doing that to you. And if you do that consistently, you will see better results in your business, as I have been, once you become much more intentional about it. Now, before I close this video, I do want to let you know that if you're a seller on Amazon, Walmart, eBay, or any other e-commerce platform, and you're doing over $5,000 per month, then I recommend checking out Applying for my Business Building Legends community. We have over 100 standard operating procedures to help you grow and scale. We talk about these mental hurdles and these traps of human thought really in this business that you can get into. And so we discuss these things plus all of the other business activities in the community that you need. You can just head over to askjimmysmith.com/legends to check that out. Full disclosure, it is a sales page. If you don't want to go and check that out, you don't have to. That's totally fine. I have tons of free training linked below in the description. And if you're under $5,000 per month, check that out for sure, so you can get growing and scaling in your Amazon and e-commerce business. So I hope this video helps you and blesses you. Let me know your thoughts about it all down in the comments, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.